Hello viewers, you're watching Afghanistan Report and I'm your host Swati Kundra. The main stories are: Afghanistan looks forward to implementing peace roadmap. Disused NATO camp turns into drug treatment base in Kabul. And Afghan students in India learn English to enhance communication skills. The third round of the China-Afghanistan-Pakistan trilateral dialogue held in Islamabad to focus on the role of China and Pakistan in finding a peaceful resolution to the Afghan conflict. Afghanistan said it is looking forward to specifying a peace roadmap reached at the peace talks in Islamabad. We have a report.
Quest for peace in Afghanistan, role of neighboring countries, was the theme of the third round of trilateral dialogue held between China, Afghanistan and Pakistan in Islamabad. The purpose of this initiative was to hold dialogue among the three countries who share a common vision for peace and security, regional economic cooperation and combating terrorism, extremism and drug trafficking. The Deputy Afghan Foreign Minister, Hekmat Khalil Karzai, who headed the Afghan delegation to the peace talks, said in Kabul that the parties have agreed to hold talks on a regular basis to push forward the peace process between the Afghan government and the Taliban.
Afghanistan has created a roadmap. This roadmap in this discussion was shared with our Pakistani, Chinese and American colleagues. So our hope is that we will be able to discuss this roadmap in extensive details.
China has also assured to work with all parties to hold Afghanistan peace talks.
In this process here, what we would like to do is at least have two specific roles for China. One, of course, is to make sure that China is able to participate and provide further legitimacy to the process. And most importantly, China monitors the process. While Afghans are extremely, at times, quite doubtful of certain processes, the fact that we have the United States and China being part of this process, it gives us assurance.
The Pakistani Prime Minister's Foreign Affairs Advisor, Sartaj Aziz, said the prolonged conflict during the past 35 years in Afghanistan has not only caused immense suffering to the people, it has also prevented the country from realizing its full development potential. However, he said the reconciliation process will have to be chalked out with utmost patience and discretion.
We need to be cognizant that reconciliation process will have to take into account the following fundamentals. One, the process has to be Afghan-led and Afghan-owned. As an externally imposed settlement is neither desirable nor it would be sustainable. The role of the Pakistan, China and United States is basically to facilitate the process. Two, the political reconciliation by nature is a complex process requiring time, patience and sense of accommodation by the concerned parties with a view to arriving at a win-win solution.
The Taliban, who were ousted in 2001, remain split on whether to take part in talks, with some factions opposed to any negotiations, but others considering joining talks, senior members of Taliban groups said recently. Afghanistan has said the aim is to work out a roadmap for peace negotiations and a way of assessing if they remain on track.
Moving on, Afghan security forces killed two gunmen barricaded inside a house in Jalalabad on January 13 and ended a siege that followed a suicide attack on the Pakistani consulate in the city. The attack on the consulate resembled a recent attack on the Indian consulate in the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif. There has been no claim of responsibility for either attack. Afghanistan has opened a new drug treatment center in an abandoned NATO military base in Kabul. It is the latest attempt to stamp out the country's massive problem of drug abuse. Take a look.
Drug addicts in Kabul, many of whom live under a bridge, have been brought to this new facility. Camp Phoenix, a former training camp on the edges of Kabul, set up by the US Army in 2003, will take in around 1,000 homeless drug addicts who will receive food, medical attention and treatment.
او معتادینی که در شهر کابل خانه ندارن شبانه در زیر پلا یا در روی سرک‌ها استراحت میکنن مروز به هوای سرد هستند و خطر مردنشان به مراتب بیشتر است. بنابراین تصمیم بری شد که تمام معتادین خصوصا کسایی که خانه نداره با ظرفیت 1000 بستر در یک شفاخانه یا درمانگاهی که در کمپ فنیکس ساخته شده دیگه امروز ما کمپاین شروع کردیم. این کمپاین در حدود امروز شاید در حدود 400 نفر جمع آوری کنیم.
The effort is the latest in a long series of anti-drug initiatives backed by the government and its international partners. But it's only a very small step to tackle a sprawling problem, and many remain skeptical. In May, a US-funded report said around 1.9 million to 2.4 million Afghan adults may be drug users from among a population of around 30 million, with drugs found in more than 30% of homes. To counter this situation, the country has just 123 treatment centers, sufficient to treat just over 10% of opium and heroin users. But even addicts who go through the centers often fall back into drug use.
تنها پیام به جوان است که سیگار خالی نکشن حتی نسور نزنن چندان چیزی نیز عاقبت ندارن بجای از او برن درس های دینی بخوانن در مکتب خدا بسر برن سر باشن در سرحد بنشینن مرگ یک مرگ است روز اگر در جنگ کشته شوید یک دفعه میموری ولی در این عمل آمدی هر لحظه میموری هر لحظه مرگ است برای
Afghanistan is one of the world's biggest sources of opium, producing around 3,300 tons last year, despite a drop of 48% in output. With the economy in ruins after decades of war and unable to provide jobs for young Afghans, demand for the temporary relief provided by drugs is high.
Armed militants opened fire on the residence of an Afghan consulate official in Peshawar's posh university town area in the early hours of January 15. A first information report has been registered against unidentified individuals and investigation is underway. The shooting occurred 2 days after Pakistan's diplomatic mission in the eastern Afghan city of Jalalabad came under a gun and bomb attack.
फर्स्ट सेक्रेटरी हैं अफ़गान कौंसलेट पेशावर में हमायूं यूसुफ़ीन का नाम है अफ़गान नेशनल है और ये जिस तरह रिपोर्ट करते हैं कि रात 2:20 के ऊपर कुछ नामालूम हमलावरों ने इनके घर के ऊपर फायरिंग की है तो फायरिंग के जैसे निशानात आप देख रहे हैं तो ये ब्रश ही हुआ है जिस किसी ने भी फायरिंग की है बाहर मेन दीवार के ऊपर भी और मेन गेट के ऊपर भी तो ऑलरेडी हमने इनको 2 पुलिस कार्ड दिए हुए थे मगर वो बेसिकली फायर इस तरह से हुआ कि जब उसने मेन गेट को जो जहाँ पे गार्ड रहते हैं उसको जब हिट किया तो वो अंदर से लॉक हो गया तो गार्ड निकलने में मतलब उनको टाइम लग गया और इतनी देर में हमलावर जो थे वो भाग गए.
India is home to many young Afghans who come to study and enhance their skills. Today we meet some students from the war-torn country who have joined a crash course in New Delhi to enhance their English skills. Let's take a look.
At International Language Schools of Canada in New Delhi, a group of 10 Afghan students are pursuing a 6-month-long course to improve their English language. As part of their scholarship, the universities in India facilitate Afghan students to improve their language skills.
I came here because take my English language and improve it because the only way, as you know, English language is an academic language in all universities of the world, and we should take English first. If we want to enter in universities, and because in India every lessons are in English, then I came here because here we can find a lot of students from international students and from different countries, and so that it's very good for improving our English, and ILC is the best place for me.
Our country is facing in many challenges, security challenges that threaten the education, and we have came to India that it's better in education. We will be familiar with the tradition and the custom and the method of teaching and the teaching methodology that here in the India we have, and we are going to grasp all this knowledge as in English as well as in our field, and go back to our country to serve our people.
Since 2007, over 50 Afghan students have enrolled in International Language Schools of Canada in New Delhi.
In terms of Afghani students, they tend to come for medium and shorter stays, and the main goal is for them to improve their English so that they can apply for Indian universities, and so that when they enter Indian universities, they can clearly understand the professor and succeed in their studies.
India offers 1,000 scholarships per annum to Afghan students, the largest scheme for any country run by the Indian Council for Cultural Relations.
With that, we have come to the end of this week's episode of Afghanistan Report. I'm Swati Kundra taking your leave. We'll be back next week with more news and views from Afghanistan. Goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.